Hey guys, welcome to a special double feature. Today we get to talk about not one, but two topics of the JJD type vocal. Some topics that are very near and dear to me and to my heart, and I'm going to be talking about them. Before we're gonna do a quick summary, guys, we've been talking about the 14 traits of military leadership in the United States Marine Corps. We've talked about justice, we've talked about judgment, we've talked about dependability, we've talked about initiative, decisiveness, having integrity. And today, guys, we get to talk about number 8 and number 9. We're going to be touching on both of them today. And the reason why is because there are kind of two traits that are very closely related because they play off each other. And so we're going to go into the details of that. We're going to be guys, celebrating because we're halfway through, with the series. This catapults us to get us closer to those last 4-5 traits that we have left that we get to talk about. Today, we start with enthusiasm. After integrity, we talked about last week about integrity and what that meant. The first thing that you got to have is integrity to yourself. More than any organization, more than any individual, more than to any person, you got to have integrity to you. We kind of finished with that. Some people agreed, some disagreed, and I honestly didn't care. One of the things that Wade Watson said is that one of the things that worries him or that he's afraid of is waking up one day and breaking character. And I took that message and it was so profound because if you really read into what he's talking about, you get to realize how much of a powerful statement that is, where if you think about you as a character, the person that you chose to play as an individual, that right there is going to determine who you become in the future, the people around you, the business that you build, etc., the amount of success that you attract into your life. And yeah, it has to do with you choosing this persona and then just sticking to it. Eventually that person becomes you form habits around that person, then those habits lead you to success. And so today we get to talk about a little bit of the continuation of the integrity, which is number 8, and it's called enthusiasm. And enthusiasm, in layman's term, basically means that you have a positive can-do attitude that draws others to you, into your plans. For example, Stanley Baldwin said that fires can be made with dead embers, nor can enthusiasm be stirred by spiritless men. Enthusiasm in our daily work lightens effort and turns labor into pleasant task. You cannot make fires with dead embers, just like you cannot have people that have no spirits. Man, that's what that means. Well, guys, when you are enthusiastic, let me tell you why I wanted to do a double feature today and talk about the number 9 trait of JDD type vocal, which is bearing, because it has a lot to do with enthusiasm. See, enthusiasm means just having that can-do attitude, but a lot of times people become fakely enthusiastic, meaning that they're not really excited about what they're doing. They fake it, and the problem when you fake it is that people kind of get to feel that the enthusiasm is not genuine. And so, eventually you can fool people for a period of time, but eventually it will show that that's not really your passion, the things you want to accomplish, the thing you want to do. So being an enthusiastic person, having that can-do positive attitude comes with a huge responsibility, because you gotta have integrity to yourself first. And then when you have integrity to yourself and you become enthusiastic about a project that you have, that project has to be in congruence with who you are as an individual. And therefore you are really enthusiastic about it, rather than trying to faking excitement, right? Because fake excitement does not attract people. As a matter of fact, it repels people. So it's a very key part. And that leads into number 9, which is bearing. And bearing is the manner that you conduct and control yourself. It's your appearance, your posture, your manner that reflects self-confidence, self-control. For example, there's a saying from Mary Kerr that said that life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing, at whatever cost, must be attained. It's such a powerful statement, by the way. You need to understand that you are put here in this world to do something special, and you're supposed to persevere through any situation that comes through your life in order to achieve that thing that you were put in this world to do. And so why does enthusiasm and bearing are very closely related? Because when you become enthusiastic about something, you're really excited about it, what you're gonna find yourself is the world will oppose people that are genuinely excited about something. Whenever you find your calling and you're really passionate about it, opposition will rise against you, because people for some reason just want to be negative and they just don't want you to be happy and excited, and that's just kind of the world that we are living in today. So because of that, when you find that calling and you become really enthusiastic about it, you're going to face, rejection, you're gonna face challenges. So that's when bearing comes into play, where you say, okay, look, I'm going to conduct myself in a way that shows self-confidence, that shows self-control. I'm going to look the part. You're gonna dress up. For example, the posture that you're going to have when you stand, when you are around people, is that of a person that is almost unfazed by anything that's happening in the world. And it's very key that you find what is that thing that you're supposed to do in your life, because when you do, you get to buy into that idea, and anything that happens to you, you always get to filter it through whatever your mission in life is. If your mission in life is a very significant one, doesn't matter what adversity comes to you, you're gonna stay true to that, and your bearing is gonna be there. You're going to be, you're gonna have a posture of, self-confidence and power, that nothing can face you. And then you become really enthusiastic about life, because then you get to be living in a state of integrity to yourself. See how they all connect, by the way? If you're living in a state of integrity to yourself, you become enthusiastic about the life that you're leading, and then you add bearing to that, meaning that whatever challenges come don't face you, and you have this powerful mixture of key traits that make you one of the best people out there to lead other men and women. Because what happens when you, for example, develop can-do attitude, I can make this happen, I'll figure things out, other people become attracted to you and they like to follow you. That makes you the de facto leader, because people are usually lost. They don't know how to go about it. And a person with enthusiasm, what they'll do is, okay, I might not know how to do it, but I'm just gonna do something until I figure it out. And then from there, even if you mess up, you have enough bearing to stick to whatever call you made. And that's very powerful. I've seen this in my career. I've seen this in my personal life, especially in the military. I still remember this. I'll give you the story, for a period of time in my career, I was in the communications world. I was in the radio with radio operators. And I remember my very first unit that I was part of, that we used to do this test. Every year they would test us on something, right? And it had to do with speed. It had to do with getting set up and a matter of minutes so that we can really engage the enemy. And we did this kind of drills over and over and over again. And so one day, we realized that we could use another type of tool to allow us to make our time like 90% faster. Instead of us having to stake down like a certain thing, we could use these big ass stakes and just put them in the ground, and we just had our biggest guy just hammer them down into the ground, and then use a caminating pole. It was very sturdy poles to raise our antennas. And we started doing that, and we were like the fastest artillery unit in the Marines, like for many years, because of the way that we did things. And then we started incorporating, like utilizing some of the tools that came with those antennas, and also the way that we were doing things. But at the very beginning of that, it took a lot of enthusiasm from the ones that were running with this thing, because it was new, nobody had done it, and it took a lot of bearing from, for example, the people that were in charge of me at that time, to say, guys, we're gonna run with this, it works, let's just go ahead and do it. And they really didn't care much about what the rest of the service community, for example, in communications was thinking. They didn't really let it affect them, because our job was always to put rounds down range when it came to artillery. And our whole existence, for example, as a communications unit, was to get our comms up and running so that people could communicate with whoever was the observers, and so that we can get rounds down range. And it took a lot of enthusiasm on the units because people were like, you know what? Yes, we can do this. It's odd, it's unorthodox, it's not what we were taught to do, but we can do it. We're going to put, we're gonna play with this thing, and it ended up becoming almost like the standard, to the point that we ended up getting awarded, like so many awards, because we were like so fast at our setups that they gave us, even better toys when it came to the artillery world. And I still remember, man, the feeling that you had, because everybody was on the same tune on, yes, we can do this, it's possible, we're gonna make it happen. And that carried on in our career, and for about 4 years, 5 years, we had the same people in the unit, on that department of communication. And every time a mission will come up, it was never a question of, oh, I wonder who can do it. Everybody was all excited because we were so enthusiastic about what we could achieve because of the things that we had done that nobody else had. Now, it took a lot of bearing, for example, on the senior leaders and us, that we became eventually those leaders in the organization, because we had to keep a lot of control on the situation. We were doing things that were not part of the technical manual, for example. And so because of that, we had to be like, okay, keep this posture and this appearance that we had everything under control. And we did. But you've been in the military, you get to understand that sometimes doing things that are outside of the technical manual, it's frowned upon, because whatever reason, they don't like innovation, I guess, in some cases. So we had to keep that bearing. And for example, in situations where one of my last units, we had to work a lot with data, right? We had a lot of servers that require like antennas and very high-end equipment for us to communicate through the internet and the intranet. And oftentimes these things wouldn't connect, and people would look to us for a solution. And imagine if you were the type of leader that challenge came and you couldn't get, for example, communications up and running. You started freaking out. You're like, oh man, I don't know what's going on, I don't know. And everybody was just saying, I don't know, and nobody would really get down to, how do I fix it? We would have been the worst unit ever, and people probably could have, passed, because that's a huge responsibility when you're doing communication, and the Marines are just saying, shoot, move, communicate. That's how we do it. And the blood of the military is comms. Comms keep everything moving, basically. So us not being able to, for example, get communications up in a lot of times was a very strenuous situation. Well, the people that were in charge, I was one of those people at some points. We had to keep like this posture of, don't worry, we got it, it's okay, sir, ma'am, don't worry about it, we're handling it, give us a few minutes and we'll get it back and going. And sometimes we didn't even know what the problem was, but the fact that we had the ability to look at our officers and say, we got it, don't worry about it, gave them the confidence to say, okay, my guys are on it, let me focus on something else. And so that has to do with bearing. Why enthusiasm played a huge role into it, because we always had the attitude of, what situation comes our way, we can figure it out. And that translates so beautifully into business, because in the world of business, you're going to have two kinds of people. You're going to have the people that they want to know absolutely everything about everything before they take action. And usually those people don't really get to do much. And then you're going to have people that they come into a business and they don't really know much about it, but they say, man, this is exciting. I think this is going to be a great opportunity. I'm going to start taking action. And they become really enthusiastic about the future that they're going to have, and they just go after it, and they just take action. And even when things don't quite go their way, you always hear things come out of their mouth like, oh man, we can do this. We're on it. We're so close. We're 2 feet away from goal. Little things like that. And then they have the ability to keep their bearing, to keep that posture of, even if my business or my life is in chaos, I'm not going to let the world see that, because I'm supposed to be the rod for the team, the rod for the business. I'm supposed to be the one that's holding it all down. Even if everything around me is collapsing, people are supposed to be able to look to me and say, okay, That's my leader. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world. Look at him. He's still trucking. He's still pushing forward. He's still enthusiastic about the opportunity. I'm going to follow that guy. And so that's how all of these things kind of relate into the 14 traits of military leadership. Because if you develop these traits, what ends up happening is you become this very rare type of individual that very few things phase you, very few things make you negative, very few things make you lose integrity with yourself. You know, you don't really kind of stay marinating in issues. You start making decisions, you start taking action, you make initiative. You know, you have a lot of initiative, so you make calls, people can depend on you. All of the things that we've talked about to this point, guys, all mashed together to become or make you one of the best suited leaders in any organization. But you gotta have the ability to identify those traits and ask yourself, where am I on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of these ones, and which ones can I work on more? And whenever you become a 10 on all of them, you become like CEO level kind of individual, because people would know that they can come to you and you'll just get it done. That's the kind of power that having these traits have for you. Having enthusiasm, having bearing, guys. And I can't even tell you about the next one that we're going to be talking about next week or next day, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Unselfishness, guys. That's going to be the next one. We're going to talk about just unselfishness on the next chapter. Hope you guys really took something out of this one and it helped you learn, become a better leader, to help you become a better businessman, you know, better father, better, I don't know, military guy. If you're a military folk, like listening to these things, the goal is always to help you grow, become the best person that you could become. And guys, look, buy into a character, buy into the character that you want to play, the role that you want to see for your life, as if it was the character in a movie, and then just stick to the script. What does this person look? What does it say? What do they do? How do they think? And then you buy into that character and you play it to the best of your ability. And at one point in your life, that just becomes who you are and what you're known for. See you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great night, and thank you for watching.